I'm trying to put that bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 Lady, and I got my shine. Money in my pocket, and we're feeling fine. Radio's loud, and we're playing Sublime. I think it's gonna be a good day, my oh my. I can't believe I made it this far, it's a miracle. Floating in the clouds now, used to be miserable. Never looking back since I changed my ways. I'm on that good life tip today. I'm looking for the good life, good life. Sitting on top of the world, I wanna be shining like diamonds and pearls. I want you to go there with me, girl. I'm looking for the good life, good life. Baby, we can have it all. We can make love by the waterfalls. I'm living that good life after all. Yeah. La da da da, good life, sitting by the fire. La da day, good life, feeling that breeze.
What is going on, everybody? I hope you're having a great evening. My name is Bleeves. This is Bedtime with Bleeves. And guess what? Crypto was going to fall off the face of the earth today when everybody started seeing some red candles. And guess what? In possibly a matter of hours, we're going to be right back where we were a few minutes before everything happened, right? Bitcoin went to 29,000, 28.9, I want to say. Didn't get the 30,000 that we were looking for, and that started a downward sort of correction. However, we got 25 basis points, and then everybody said, oh, wow, so this looks pretty good. So then we had about a half hour of pump and dump of the movers and shakers, the institutionals, doing their thing, making their money, setting themselves up in position. And then we got Jerome Powell come to the podium with, and Jerome Powell, I'm assuming, if you've ever seen a Chinese ninja star, right? It's got blades on every sign. I assume he just shoved it up his asshole and then said, you know what? I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I think. Now, he didn't tell us what he thought, right? So what we got out of Jerome Powell today was that they had already baked this in. Now, what did they say? They said that it was by consensus that everybody in their everybody at the Fed agreed 100% to raise the rates 25%. What does that mean? Well, that means that they understand that if they don't raise the rates, they're going to be seen as ineffectual, and not worth it. And if that's the case, then they're going to get they're going to get replaced because they're how do I say this nicely for the Fed? They're a bunch of weak ass hoes, I guess is the best way I can say it. They don't want to be seen that way. They want to be seen strong. And oh, by the way, new overlay. Who dis? Sorry about that. So up here, by the way, now we've got Volt, we've got crypto.com, we've got Metapolitans, which will be making content for Metapolitans this week, MEXC, we've got NordVPN, we've got BitGet over here, we've got BRL, and we've got Decanect. So getting a little crowded. If you want to be up there, you know what to do. Contact me. So anyway, we the biggest issues are that it was his job today to wreck this economy. It was his job to let people know, first of all, if you're poor, I'm coming for your job, because your pain is what I feed off of, right? And not because, and look, it's nothing personal. That it is absolutely not personal, but it's the way that it's the nature of the market, right? The pain comes at the bottom. The poor people, lower middle class, those are the ones most affected by these moves. Then the smaller banks who don't have huge capital on hand, they can't loan money out because the interest rates are higher and people are staying away from borrowing. And businesses, that's the bread and butter, right? Businesses are not borrowing in order to expand or do anything because they don't want to pay the interest rates, because the interest rates are now excessive based on the market. And to be fair, interest rates are not out of control. We've just become so spoiled in this market for so long that we look at an interest rate of 6% and we're like, ew. But it's not like that. You know what I mean? Like, and the other thing is, if you're in a lower credit score class, and you're paying a lot more. So, there's a lot of money not going back into those banks. So, those regional banks are going to fail. So, the Fed is going to prop those banks up, and we're going to see it rapidly. By the way, anybody who doesn't like another bank or something like that, if I'm the bank of Believes, and the Bank of Hobbs comes out and says, hey, y'all might want to watch them. I think there's a problem with money, and somebody reports that publicly, there's going to be a run on the Bank of Believes, and then holy shit, I'm out of money, right? Because I don't have enough capital on hand in order to make the obligations, and I'm gonna have to start selling assets. And that's exactly what happened to a lot of these banks, right? That are starting to fall. So this is going to be a difficult sort of situation, right? Ryo, his stuff is on the way. He's like he was oh, you know what? If it's Believe stuff, I've got a new design and I haven't put the design up. So that's what it was. I got a new design for Believe in Bitcoin, stuff like that, that I pulled down in order to put the Volt stuff up. So sorry about that. But the rest of it's coming back up. I just haven't redesigned everything. So it was just, I took everything down and just archived it for a moment. But anyway, so Jerome Powell came out, he said 25 basis points. Then he said that, they'd already baked this in. The economy had already made a decision. This is what they were going to do. And they all gave consensus because they can't be seen as weak. If they blink a little bit on it, then they're going to be seen as weak. So they had to do this, and they had to let people know that they all agreed to it. Now, do they all agree to it? Hell no. Half of them don't want any kind of increase because they think that it's done. Now, the bears out here are going to tell you, well, if you do that, then it's going to get terminal because inflation is not down to 2%, and it has to be. Nobody understands this economy. Everybody pretends that they have an understanding of what the economy is. Now, if the interest rates are what they are without pain at this point, it might just correct itself, because the one variable that we can't throw into the market is time. So the only thing we do at that time is just continue either on the path that we're on or change directions, right? So one of the things that Jerome Powell did mention was that this might be the last rate hike. They did point that out, and there was a reference to it today. Also, they're not happy with where everything is. They looked at the hot jobs report data. They looked at the lack of come down on some of the inflation numbers, the lack of disinflation in some areas, and they thought that that at least this 25 points were warranted. But they did see an enormous amount of disinflation coming out of the housing market. So they're seeing that things are working, right? And by the way, part of this inflation stuff is you got to look at the housing sector. When you look at the housing sector, imagine how much you could have bought a house for 3 years ago versus how much it costs right now. There's a gigantic amount of inflation. So what do you do with that? And the answer is you raise interest rates till people can't buy houses. And then you have to let everything just kind of fall out the way it is. The housing market has to correct. Now, the housing market is in the middle of correcting. And from what I'm told, it's looking a lot more normalized at this point than it was before, because people are not buying. So in fact, here's a funny story. I have somebody coming to look at my building tomorrow, and they were a potential buyer, and they're going to do a walkthrough and inspection, and they're going to be looking to have me do a bunch of different stuff to the building in order to sell it, right? they canceled at the last minute. So they're going to have to reschedule for next week. So, I mean, you know, it's a weird market, and you don't get many cancellations at the last minute like that. But, you know, here we are. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But, you know, the market, the market is a difficult thing, and we're gonna see some improvement in the market. It's just going to take just a tiny bit of patience and just a little bit more time. With a little bit more time, I think that the markets, everything, are going to be 100% fine, right? I think that you know, we're on the cusp, we're on the verge, we're right at the spot right now. And for Diana, if you want to see the dog, here we go. That's the little bitch right there. And every night, if I don't take her out by like 9:15, she pees all over the place, and then I have to clean it up. So yeah, that's the little bitch right there. She's a little monster. Very nice, very nice dog, but a little monster. So yeah. So let's get into the news. Let's check everything out, and let's see where the evening takes us. First, we're going to start with pre-markets. There is a change, by the way. Look at this. The pre-market is now in boxes, and you can see the changes here: plus 59, plus 6.75, and plus 1650. With implied opens right here, we can see they just changed the format of the pre-market on CNN Business, and so it looks pretty positive for today. Now, why is it looking positive for today if everything is going down the tubes? Well, because Truflation went down another 0.1%, which means that inflation is still coming down, and the tracking on the daily basis is showing it continuing to decline. So even though we have this horrible thing happening in the markets, and this dump that's, oh my God, it's all going down, we're going to 10,000. Well, Bitcoin caught itself at 27,000 and started pumping back up again. Now, of course, here's the thing. If you're at 28, 29,000 and you dump to 27,000, you're not going straight back up, right? You go straight back down, but you don't go straight back up. So, you know, we've got levels that we're going to have to pay attention to. We're going to have to take care of each one of these little levels along the way and see what happens there. So first things first, cryptocurrency market, as you can see right here, 1736 on Ethereum. Ethereum's been trading around 1740 for the last couple of hours. So I think we found another level from which Ethereum could start to make a bounce off of. 27,300 for Bitcoin. So I think we found another level. We're not going to put too much into altcoins and stuff like that right now, because none of that matters. What matters at this point is Bitcoin. Now, let's call it 1 week ago. 1 week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, when we were looking at this money going upwards and we were looking at this market trying to pump, BNB was at 280, 290. BNB, which is the one that we're going to look at over here, is at 321 right now. So are we looking at the market tanking? Not really. This is 2.96% down. This is 2.66% down. That's not that much. Considering how much of a pump we've had, it is not that much to say that we've had a significant sort of rally. Now, it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about these numbers, right? So we zoom out here a little bit, and this is where we are. We bounced. We went under the 200 SMA on the total market cap. Then we found support at the 200 SMA and started bouncing back. So we're already. I mean, it's not that far, guys. You know, you have to kind of look and put it into perspective. You know, Bitcoin was running super hot, right? We were at 28,910. Then we got all of this stuff, and it all happened within 2 hours. And since then, we bounced at the 200 SMA. And then what happened? Now we're buying back. Now we're consolidating. Where are we consolidating? We're consolidating right here where our last little spot was. But here's the thing. We're not even outside the golden pocket, guys. I'm telling you, we're going to 30,000. And there's a lot of people, Selmo Fud out there somewhere, a bunch of other guys out there like, hey, we're going down. It's all going to go, blah, 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 blah. Look, the rest of the world doesn't give a shit. What they care about is 25 basis points. So, and listen, they've got their own problems to deal with, right? Everybody around the world has their own problems to deal with, but a lot of what happens in these markets is based on what happens in our market. So when we see 25 basis points, then they look at it and they say, you know what, this is an opportunity. So for the next couple of days, we're going to consolidate. We're going to come down here, and you see down there at the bottom of the page, there is the 200 weekly moving average down there. So that is another spot that might that might make the bounce happen, right? That's another part. But yes, in other parts of the world, inflation is worse. But in other parts of the world, they're throwing money at the problem. Like that's the thing that, and really, this doesn't apply. What you guys are looking for, you're looking for a macroeconomic of the entire economy to justify a pump in crypto, and it's not working right now. What's happening in crypto is people are looking at it more as a hedge against what might be happening with the banks. So they're pumping it. They're putting their money in here for safekeeping, which is pumping it. They're getting it out of fiat, which is helping to pump it. And the governments realize they are losing control. So what they're doing is they're trying to put out all of the fires. And when they try to put out all the fires, they're throwing money at every problem. And if you're throwing money at every problem, then guess what? There's money everywhere. Right? So here's the thing. Are they making it work? Okay, so Luke says they make the situation worse by throwing money at it, though. Which depends on where they throw the money. And they think that they're pretty smart where they're throwing the money. And maybe we can say that they're not doing it, but we're saying that they're not doing it because we're looking at historic context of what happens when we have these corrections and we have these moments. And guess what? It just doesn't matter. Like we're looking for the history of everything that's happened in America or across the world, and we're just trying to throw a blanket. Well, if it didn't work back then, it's not going to work now. So we're going to have to do it the way we did it way back then. This is not the same market. Every one of these situations in which you're dealing with excessive inflation does not include a strong job market. At no point have we ever had a situation. So when you're trying to throw your, I think it should be this way, book at it, it's not the same book. We're not on the same pages. So there are going to be some opportunities. BCB, by the way, is pumping a little bit. It's down, but it's having a pretty good day. I think it was at 0.008 when I looked at it today. And I think that it's probably primed to go back to about 1.5 cents. So I think it's going to have like 100x or at least a 2x in the next couple of days. At least it looks like it on the chart. I just haven't talked about it. But yeah, I think they've had a nice little recovery from some downward momentum. But most of these tokens are going to have that unless they have constant updates. Look, there's very few tokens that have been able to pump through the entire thing. You can look at, they've had a moment where they pumped, but there's very few that have been able to just keep moving upwards in this whole thing. The Volt, I know, is one of them. Floki has just had a big pump recently, so they're up there and they're having a nice little recovery, but it's not like that. I think that up until everything that was happening, of course, Terra Luna was doing that way back in the old days. They were working contrary to the market, and I think some of the Cosmos chain had been working contrary to the market. It's just not right now. Everything's kind of moving with it, but there are some outliers out there that continue to produce and continue to have moments where they do something here, something there to keep people interested, intrigued, and to keep their charts pumping and moving. And there are some out here that use mechanisms that they have built in. For example, Volt is buying $10,000 a day for the next, I think it was 8 more days after today. They bought 10,000 more today in order to keep the price at a decent level, like buybacks and stuff like that. Bull Run Life, BRL, they have that bulldozer that they use to keep the price moving, to keep the charts flowing, stuff like that. So there are going to be some of them out there that are outliers that had good positions. But markets do what markets do. So, but this is not the same market that we've seen in the past at any point. This is different. So it will require a different approach. Now, we're using the approach, or we had been up until this point, we've been using the approach that has always worked to get us out of it. And look at what you've been seeing. You've been seeing the job numbers continue to soar. So is it because we didn't throw enough interest rate at it to just crush it right away? I don't think that that's the case, because I still hear people hiring nonstop. Like people are not failing. Businesses are not out there just constantly failing. Like, we're not hearing the same thing. So this economy is different, and we don't have a handle on it. And you're right, inflation is still out of control. And you're also right that it's not coming down to the way we would like it to, because right now, at some point in the next month or in the next 3 or 4 months, it's probably going to be where we're looking at the data from a year ago, and that data makes it look good, like we've conquered inflation. But in fact, prices rose by 8%, 10%. So we're going to naturally come out of inflation just by virtue of comparing ourselves to what we were doing, a couple months from now, when it really started to pump, when they started to try to address it. So it's not going to be a win. We're just going to say we've got it under control, but the price of everything's going to be a little bit more expensive. Then we're going to go back to what we always do. We're going to go back to, well, we got to give everybody raises. And then it all just happens again way down the line, and we just keep doing it, and we keep doing it, and we keep doing it. So, businesses made a shit ton of money during the pandemic and from the money printing. So this recession is brand new. Will be different with unemployment numbers, in my opinion. Maybe. I mean, we're all guessing at this point, and you may be right. But even if the businesses made a shit ton of money, they're spending it on a shit ton of employees. So, we're in something different right now. So we'll see how it pans out, and we'll see how it plays out. But let's get on to the news. First, Federal Reserve raises interest rates by 25 BPS. Second, Bitcoin retests 27,000 following the Fed rate decision. Third, the SEC has informed the crypto exchange Coinbase of potential securities laws violations. And then the SEC sues Tron founder Justin Sun for market manipulation and offering unregistered securities. Now let's go back to Coinbase, because what they're doing is, this is an open attack on crypto, which we knew was coming. And we know that that's what's going to happen, right? Because Goldman Gary has no spine. He has no backbone. All he does is he just throws a bunch of stuff out here and just says, well, they're doing it wrong. So the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has sent a Wells notice about potential violation of security laws. The NASDAQ-listed crypto exchange noted that, unlike what SEC Chairman Gary Gensler said, the securities regulator will not let crypto companies come in and register, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong explained. A Wells notice typically precedes an enforcement action. Cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase announced Wednesday that it has received a Wells notice from the Securities and Exchange Commission regarding an unspecified portion of our listed digital assets, our staking service. This right here is what it's talking about. So here's what I believe is happening. Now, if you go to Coinbase, by the way, Jesus Christ, this is the moment I need to have the phone. By the way, if you haven't already, burn everything that you have that's Google, because fuck those guys. You know what I mean? And I mean, YouTube is nice. YouTube is great. But so I got an email today from Google about my new phone. So what they said was, I'm going to read this to you because this is awesome. This guy says, I'm going to give you a pristine phone that we've looked at and researched. And says, and I told them, give me a new, I have all the earbuds, I have everything that Google has, right? And that was that. Give me 1 second here. I got to find the message here. They're their I gave her hair, and I said I bought it from their store, and then I said I want a refund, and they said, "Oh, hey, what's going on, brother?" They wanted to have me consent to it. I said yes, and they said I apologize for the inconvenience you faced on your devices. We are sending you a pristine condition replacement phone. We are so sorry for what's happened. So now they're apologizing and telling me that they're sending me a pristine phone. And what they said was they've checked the phone to make sure that it was not made in the same manufacturing process as the previous phone, which has had issues, because their phones have had just an enormous amount of issues. And it's really annoyed the shit out of me for the last couple of days. My phone is basically unusable. So yeah, I'm stuck in this. It's just annoying as shit. So they're sending me a new phone today, and I should have it. And it's going to be it's going to be a one that doesn't have whatever hardware or software problem that there was or that there is. Crypto shop in the house. What is going on, Hobbs? So now that I'm off of Google, let's go back over here. And so everything about this thing is all about everything about this is all about staking, I believe. So I think that the issue here is every one of these, we're going to see what the actual charge is or what the actual thing is. And when we see it, what we're going to see is that they're basically saying that everything that you stake and everything that you potentially earn from is the problem. So I think that that's how this breaks down. So I think we see, we're going to see some complaints coming out from, all of these Einsteins, and what it's going to be is USDC, which I think, God damn, I can't look. So you earn you can stake your USDC with Coinbase. And if you can stake your USDC with Coinbase and earn, I think it's something like, 3% or something like that. It's not a lot, but it is there, right? Then you can also do like Ethereum, which they're now going to say is a security because it's proof of stake, not proof of work. And that, I think, is one of their litmus tests in Gary Gensler's P-Brain. So I think that what we're seeing is, and by the way, the interest rate from Coinbase on your Ethereum is 5.91%. So yeah, it's significant still, Coinbase, to give you more Ethereum for your Ethereum. So, so I think that that's why they're coming after them and going to play out all the way up to the Supreme Court. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and here's where it's going to be good, right? The Supreme Court, for the most part, one of the things that that liberals have hated is that conservative justices and libertarian justices have been put on the court, meaning that it's going to protect your gun rights, et cetera, right? However, one of the good parts about cryptocurrency is they also understand the need for you to be decoupled and to live your private life. And there's nothing about cryptocurrency covered in the Constitution. So I don't think that the SEC has a leg to stand on. Now, there is a fact here that the SEC will get the benefit of any doubt with the Supreme Court because they are a federal government institution. So, but this case is headed to the Supreme Court. The SEC is in for one hell of a fight, and they're not going to get a settlement because everybody is demanding some clarity in this space. And I do think the fact that we like or don't like Brian Armstrong, we are now going to see a champion rise. It's not going to be CZ. It's probably going to be this Brian Armstrong guy. But they're going to rise up and they're going to fight the SEC all the way. Justin's son is probably going down because I'm not sure that he did anything that they're saying, but I am certain that he was flipping the USDC and all of those DAI and all that kind of stuff. And they were probably looking at him already, because if he's got USDC and he's staking it and he's letting it, then they're going to call it a security. They're going to do all of that stupid shit that they were doing before. And we're just going to see it all play out one more time. So Brian Armstrong, I think he is going to take it to the SEC. And like, let me put it this way. I think that some of the more compelling arguments, they might even start moving for dismissals, right? Like, I think that they're gonna spin up and wrap up the SEC in ways that they don't even think about at this point. Like, I just have this feeling. It doesn't mean they're gonna win, by the way, but I get this feeling that they're gonna put the pressure on the SEC to finally define what they think the problem is, and then Coinbase is going to rip them apart for it. And then a judge is going to go, yeah, like, I don't understand why we're even doing this, right? And then it's going to have to go to an appeals court. Like, it's going to be a long, drawn out process, right? That's going to end up in front of the Supreme Court. I can tell you this already, because the SEC won't back down, because Goldman Gary needs the cash, man. He needs that cheddar. So that's how he funds his excursions and continues doing all the janky shit that he's been doing. So he's going to keep going, but I don't think that he's going to win on this. This one's going to get interesting. So anyway, the Wells notice has been done. And then we have Justin Sun over here getting sued as well. But here it is. Suggest a rate hike like pause likely. Okay. U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said that the bank has decided to increase interest rates by another 0.25%. Powell said the collapse of several banks has driven a more cautious approach, with a rate hike pause imminent. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's speech after the Fed announcement saw Bitcoin fall below 27,500. After the news, blah, 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 the bank failures have tied the hands of the Federal Reserve, because you're watching the banks fail in front of your eyes. So now then you get this right here. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said regulators aren't looking to provide blanket deposit insurance to stabilize the U.S. banking system, and that the heads of recently failed American lenders should be held accountable. So she starts to get a little bit hawkish on it, because remember, yesterday, the White House said, we don't see any value in cryptocurrency. That's just an attack on fiat. Like, who are you, Joe Biden? Are you Donald Trump or something? Because it's basically the same thing that Donald Trump said. He said that cryptocurrency is an attack on fiat. It's an attack on the US dollar. So just some bonkers, crazy, lunatic shit. So close that out, and we are done with that. Now let's go look at the charts. Most likely scenarios here. So there's a consolidation level right in here, right in this area right now. 27.5 being the appropriate number. Boom, 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 boom. So the rally, if there is to be a rally above this, is going to start with this line right here, 27.5. So we're going to bounce there and test it. We're going to bounce there and test it. I think maybe we've tested it 3 times. No, we've tested it twice, really. We got close this time, so we'll call that a test. So we've tested it a couple times. Now we're moving up slowly but surely, getting to the point where we're going to go over it or reject, by the way. That's still a possibility. And then we're going to get over this. Remember this trend line. I said this trend line has been basically respected for a period of time here. So we're going back to that. That should provide a little bit of resistance along the way up. And we should probably get back to 28,000 within a couple days. Now, we do have to deal with some fallout from the dump. So the people who were dumping were basically, I think they were kind of hedging themselves and saying to everybody, hey, we think that the market's going to go down. They started to sell off. And then when that sell-off started happening, they started popping a few of the longs. And then when they started popping a few of the longs, then we started to see some of those shorts say, you know what, this is going to be great. And then they started dumping. And the next thing you know, we saw a whole bunch of cascade that probably didn't match the tone of what was happening, right? So we just saw an opportunity for the bears to score a big win because they've been getting wrecked for a couple days now. So it was necessary for them to score a big win. If you go to Liquidation Rush and you start looking at it, then you see it's been a bad go of it for bears for a while, for probably 7 or 8 days. So this was an opportunity for them to get a little bit of cash back into it, get a little bit back into the play. I'm sure there's a few longs that are still sitting out there that got taken up here, or a few shorts that were taken up here, where they're thinking that it's going to continue going down. I disagree. I think that, by the way, it's going to depend, I think, on the European market at 3 a.m. in about, 6.5 hours. So I think it really depends on that. And it depends on how the market opens tomorrow morning. But I think that, remember, every time we do this, and we've done this with this multiple times, but every time we do this, the next day we come back and we say, oh shit, this didn't really go as expected. We were drunk when we did this. And then you see the reversal of whatever happened. So when we see a pump, we usually see a dump the next day as they quote unquote sober up. Tomorrow, I think I think they come in, they kind of look at it and they say, oh shit, why did we dump? Oh yeah, because of 25 point. What that we put there, then they start thinking a little bit more rationally, and the nervous people are no longer looking. So that's what happens, right? So we'll see how this, we're going to see how it plays out over the next little while. But I don't think that, I think I think this plays out to our best advantage. And remember, if you haven't already, Tom Emmer, he is a Republican from Minnesota. He is fighting for you guys, especially over crypto. And he just made a statement about crypto and how Congress needs to act on crypto, and that the SEC is running unchecked and out of control. So he's got his hand on the pulse. He understands some of the needs of the communities and is working to try to help with that. So, we should see something good happen. I do think that we see something good happen in very short order. So let's dig into Ethereum. Ethereum is running underneath the 200 SMA. I don't like that Ethereum is running under the 200 SMA. And like I said before, Ethereum is weak. Ethereum does not have the same level of strength. And I haven't been impressed by the level of strength that Ethereum's been showing. Now, over here, for a short period of time, in this little run up right here, this is when we started to see a little bit of strength. But as you could see right here, it really wasn't maintained. Like, it really didn't stay strong. It's felt weak the entire time. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to pump, doesn't mean it's not going to bust this 200 SMA and just skip right back over it in short order, because the SMA is around 1750. We're at about 1740 right now. It's about $10. Not going to be that much to get a nice little pump over it. The question is, can we use it for resistance for a little while in order to get up into this sort of level here? Because we want to be trading in this range. We don't want to be bouncing off of this. So we'll see how this plays out in short order. Now, SHIB whales have been selling massively. And there are some articles out there. We're not going to talk about them right now, but if you go look, there are articles talking about how SHIB long-term whales have been selling off recently. And let's also say that it's doing nobody any favors. When we look at these SHIB whales, we ask the question, who are they? Well, it's probably the team, right? Like, aren't those going to be the SHIB whales? And they're selling off. Now, why are they selling off? And you look at it, and they're selling off because they're shilling other projects, right? PawSwap has nothing to do with SHIB, but every single person on the SHIB team seems to be hawking PawSwap, right? And Kunatori is founded, I think, by like 4 different original SHIB holders, but some of them were developers on the project, or the developers of the project are moving over to Kunatori. There's this weird sort of symbiotic relationship with people that are on that team working on things other than that project. So there is a weird thing going on with SHIB. So you should be very nervous and very concerned with SHIB. But I think really they've already announced a new market person, Marie something or other. We got to go over here real quick and SHIB tab over here. It is, what is her name? I'm deleting most of these people. Like I put a bunch of them here. Marcy Jastro. So this person is the person who's kind of become the point person for SHIB for right now. And then of course we have Shaitoshi. This Shiba Inu news, I started following it. I just, Jesus fucking Christ, like I'm not going to keep following for much longer. Let me just put it that way. But so it's Marcy Jastro. She's the person now that's kind of the point person, or has been the point person. So, you know, we should start seeing some changes coming very soon on the team. I don't know how they're doing things behind closed doors. I did apply to the team, by the way. I did apply to the SHIB team to make content. But I'm already making content, so I just kind of did that because they put out that Shaitoshi put out that thing that said, if you're interested in doing something for SHIB, then fill out this form. So I filled out the form. That was posted up here for a while on Shibarium. So I don't know if somebody reached out to me. I don't know. I may have deleted it, for fuck's sake. Or it went to spam or something like that, or they didn't even reach out. But but I did apply because I think I did that live on a stream one time so that we could see it actually play out. So, but I think that's going to be, I think it's going to be an interesting development over the next little while. And I do think it is important to point out that Bone is not doing well at all. Bone continues to struggle. And look, at some point, Bone is going to tank to the point that it's going to be beautiful, and you're going to have no choice but to buy a whole bunch. You know what I'm saying? Like last time I made 1 point something ETH off of the dump on Bone. If it comes down here again to 89 or 90 cents, this is where it wants to trade, right? It wants to trade in the 120, 130 range, maybe even the 110 or 115 range. That's going to be a big pump, right? So if it pops down here into 90 or 75, it goes down into these ranges, then oh my God, fill up your bag. You know what I mean? Like Jesus Christ, it's because it's going to pump again. But the other part is it's not going to pump until we get some clarity about some of the stuff that's been going on. So it's going to take a little bit of time, I would guess. As for Crow continues to just bleed. Look, Crow has no pump to it, by the way. I think it should be said, and I think we should at least recognize here, Crow has just literally no pump whatsoever at any time. And I think everybody wants it to pump and wants to see something good happening here. But I mean, like we're just not seeing it. Not seeing any kind of positive momentum popping out at any point. So we do have these little channels right here. We're going to move some of these out just a little bit to kind of look at them. And we see that it bounced off of this low level of support, like right there, right? And then it's back up into this little mess right here at the bottom of this green channel. And from here, I think it bounces up to 69, so 0.0695, which is, I mean, if you get in, say, right now, and you pump it to the top right there, it's about 2.5%. It's not a big channel. It's not a big move. So I just don't think that there's anything right now going on with Crow. We're going to need a little bit of time and a little bit more positivity in the market before we see something happen there. So with that, let's move on to Hex. Hex is still over 10 cents. So ask your mother about that. Ordinal Doge at 5204, still not doing anything, just kind of idling at the bottom. I think it's pretty done. 64.96 on WAGMI. I did put some content out today. I did produce a video for WAGMI where I go over, what they've got going on, what I expect to see in the future, what might happen in the future. BRL is about dead even at $1. Lillian 69.15. We already covered SHIB, MMAI 3930, Terra 2942, Cato 1355, Volt 1747, still rejecting in this channel here. Now, it did pop back up when we started to get a pump in the market, but that pump was not sustained, so neither was this. So now we're, I'm going to give it a little bit longer because on the 4-hour candles, we need two, we want 2 candles outside of the channel, fully outside of the channel to mint. So we got another one for a couple more hours. And if we do, then we're now in a bearish, we're in that flag. It's a bullish flag to be pointing downward, but we'll be in a different pattern and we'll start to change up what this chart looks like. Floki 3704, Decanect 5422, Saitama 2027, Bone $1.10, Wiz 1859 down a bit, NGN struggling a little bit, down to 76 cents. A continued sell-off just keeps it, not a lot, by the way, but that pairing is not helping at all. You can see here, the sells are not significant sells, but because you have a small volume, because you have a small market cap, when wrapped Ethereum starts to go down, you go down with it. So, but we're still up 38x, right? So that's a good thing. So anyway, I guess that's where we are. So I think that I think everything overall just needs a few days to basically correct itself. I think the Fed has done their part to try to shit on everybody. I don't think that people bought it nearly as much as what we did at this moment. Remember, this was an opportunity for bears to make a little profit. This was an opportunity for people to get into their positions here and to try to wreck this market just a little bit so that they can, so they make a little money, take advantage of an opportunity and knock the price down just a little bit. And that's exactly what happened. And when that happened, they celebrated, and now the price starts coming back up because the institutional money is looking at it. Everybody else is looking at it saying, you know what, Jesus Christ, like we should have dumped, and we didn't. So let's just see what we can do with it. So, I just think in 3 days, this is all behind us and we're back here testing 30,000. And, maybe Ethereum tests about 19. We've got until April 12 before Shangapella upgrade. So Ethereum's got a little bit more time. And Judge Torres has still not made a decision on XRP. But as soon as we get something, it should be kind of cool. So yeah, might take 10 years, but I see both SHIB and Volt at $1. You're going way out with some crazy speculation, based on what a potential for a long-term burn. And I appreciate that because it's very difficult to try to figure out, how each one of these things can happen. So is it possible? Well, my Ultra Journey doesn't think so, but I would say that he's wrong, just based on, this is going to be complicated. So the amount of burns are not insignificant, but they're not enough to really diminish the supply in a way that makes it easy to do, right? But we also haven't seen the full breadth of, number one, how much burn there is in place. Number two, the benefits of a bull market with a lot of marketing behind it, which Volt does have. And then number three, the reduction of taxes and fees, which are maybe another year away, but at some point there's going to be so much activity on the chain that the fees are going to go away. So we're not going to have a 13% tax anymore because it won't be needed, right? The only thing that we'll have is like a burn tax that will continue to burn on each chain. But we're already down to 20. Remember, the maximum supply on each chain is 69 trillion. So the maximum supply over on BNB right now that can be out there at any given time is less than 27 trillion already. So, and by the way, that's not huge. When you're talking about trillions, it's significant to the total volume, But when each one of the exchanges starts to do that, or each one of the swaps starts to do that, when we really start to see a wearing down of the tokens and the price and stuff like that in a bull market, then we'll get that. Bull market's not going to last that long. If we go through 2 bull markets, then that's only going to be 5, maybe 6 years. So I don't think it's 10, but it is going to take some time for everything to make those moves. I do think that some of this is going to go faster than even we think, because we haven't seen this happen yet. So that's one of the things. And as far as NGN, I don't know. I don't know if they have a plan. Look, if they do, it's going to be a long way down the road. And I would not recommend NGN for flipping to begin with, because of the high taxes and because of the fact that they're doing a lot to go onto exchanges, et cetera, et cetera. They're building for a future. So I think that this is a longer term play. I just want to say that they're using, by the way, the blueprint brought to us by Volt of listing on a bunch of exchanges, continuing to market, continuing to saturate YouTube, continuing to build a market, and then create some positive vibes. If you've noticed, they go through all kinds of different chats every single day, and they're bombing YouTubers with donations and gifts and stuff like that because they want people to know what NGN is. But I don't think that it represents a good flip play. I think that's something that you hold for a long term. Maybe get a 5x out of it and then you flip it. But I would say that, put whatever it is that you're comfortable with, put it in. It's under $1 million market cap right now, and then let it ride for a while and just see what happens. If it goes from, by the way, it's very simple. Like at this point right now, if it goes from 900,000 market cap or $1 million market cap or whatever it's at right now to a $10 million market cap because of some of the marketing that it's doing, because of some of the exchanges that it's on, if it does something like that, then that's a 10x from where you are right now. So, it will take time, but I do think it will happen. So that's it. This is not financial advice. My name is Bleeves. I'm always right. It's time to go walk the dog. So you guys have a good night, and we will talk to you again in the morning. I'm going to guess right here. I'm going to guess that we're going to have a little bit of a pump in the overnight. I think that after the pass through here of all the markets looking at the U.S. data saying, I don't know why they dumped. I think some people are going to recognize, like, they dumped. That's kind of silly. I don't understand it. And then, we'll probably see a pump in the overnight until we get to around 7 or 8 o'clock. Then we'll see a little bit of a dump for the pre-American market. And then we'll see how the American market reacts after going down 500 points yesterday on the Dow or today. We'll see how it reacts tomorrow. And I do think it's going to be a lot more positive than what we saw. So we will talk to you guys again soon. Remember, new outro.
Mr. Pine Cones come a long, long way, so everybody gets sideways. Sing it.